Welcome to Down and Down. This is a rabbit hole podcast, and I live in a rabbit hole, but I ain't a rabbit.
No,
I'm a jackalope, and my name is Jack.
that's it.
And I'm here, as always, accompanied by,
Because I said accompanied last week or
yeah,
last time.
yeah,
Yep. Because accompany
my
is not a word that we commonly use, apparently.
my bestest friend and cousin. But
Yep. I am actually a rabbit.
I miss miss,
I miss, yeah. The
and
ceilings in my burrow are like just maybe like 3 inches shorter because of the antlers going.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's long grooves in the ceiling where I've walked in your
Yep. Yep.
burrow.
Yep. I think the funny thing is like we're nowhere close to that far apart in height
No,
in real life. It's like an inch, if
like an
even
inch, yeah.
that. Um,
Um,
but yeah,
well,
we
so
are rabbit folk, but
right,
we ain't talking about that.
we're not talking about that. You know what we're talking about? Woo!
Oh my
Um,
god.
oh,
Okay, what are we what are we
it's
talking about?
it's aliens and UFOs. Let's just
Yep.
dive down into this rabbit hole.
Oh my god.
Down and down the rabbit hole. Just how deep does it go? Where it stops, nobody knows. So let's go down the rabbit hole. Down and down the rabbit hole. Down and down the rabbit hole.
I'll probably cut some of that. Just because like I don't know how to do like you should see your face like
Oh,
okay.
all right. So what's it been like 2 or 3 weeks now that the government like declassified
A lot of them.
um this say and it's trying and people are like, see, aliens are real.
Yeah.
And I've yet to see any proof that aliens are real.
Correct. But footage. Okay,
Of
yeah.
dust.
I've seen the footage. Like we don't know what the footage is showing for one.
Oh,
Uh and so anyway, let's just kind of hit on it. So since that first release, they've done kind of another release apparently.
yeah,
Um and I think that was maybe at the time we're recording this, that was maybe like 2 or 3 days ago.
yeah,
Against still nothing that confirms
yeah.
any extraterrestrial life. There is no, as far as we're aware right now, as far as we're aware right now, there is no footage of extraterrestrials at all.
No,
Um,
that's not true. That's not true. I saw that movie E.T.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, forgot about it. Um, you know what I
That's
also
that's
find
what
funny?
E.T. stands for.
It absolutely does. ET is one of, just fun fact, ET is one of Buck's favorite,
Why
uh,
did you say that in third person?
because ET phone home.
Okay.
No, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I actually am not really even super drawn to alien movies, but I love ET. It was probably my first favorite movie. I watched it as a kid. Like
A lot,
we're
yeah.
talking like 2 years old. I'd watch it and it would go off and I'd make my parents rewind. This is back whenever VHS was a thing. Rewind the tape and I'd watch it again. And that bicycle sequence where they're running from the government, that's just such a good sequence.
Didn't when he screams, didn't it scare you or
It did
something?
scare me as a kid. I'd run behind the couch and cover my ears. I don't know why. I think it was just sound that I just really didn't like like as a toddler, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but and I think
So
also the
so
fact that
Buck likes
Elliot
E.T.
Elliot was scared also made me scared,
Oh,
if
yeah.
that makes sense.
So Buck likes E.T. and eating. And
You like eating just as much as me. I just eat worse food than you.
oh, that was a cruel
I
joke.
am heavier than Jack is at the moment.
At the
Um,
moment,
it's been
like
for the
I've
past few
ever been.
years.
I was
For
like,
the
have
past few
you?
years.
You've always been heavier than me.
You passed me at one point, but not by
When
much.
was this?
It was a height thing. When you exceeded me in height, you passed me in weight by like a few pounds. It wasn't much. It wasn't
Because I
much.
was taller.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, so this all kind of started supposedly when I don't know, Obama said something, let it slip, and then they questioned um, Trump, and Trump was like, he's not supposed to do that.
Hmm.
He's releasing classified. And he's like, oh, so you're saying that aliens are real? And he's like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's not supposed to do that. He's not supposed to, mention classified documents. Maybe I can get him out of trouble. Um,
Yeah.
and
We think that this is President Trump trying to get President Obama out of trouble.
no, well, I'm saying that's how this thing started.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Um,
it did kind of like cause a bit of like a ruckus whenever all that happened, and then Trump was like, "Okay, we're going to declassify all that we have on the subject, and we're going to let the public, quote unquote, decide for themselves what the hell is going on." And that's like I'm pretty sure that's like word for word what he said. And so that I mean, there's room for saying that he knows exactly what's going on, I guess, but I think it also implies that the government doesn't really know what is going on. The American government does not have a firm stance on this subject.
right. And I think what
Um,
Obama said was they're real, but I haven't seen them
yeah.
or something like
Um,
that. Maybe we can find a clip of that.
Are aliens real?
Uh, they're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
there's a lot of issues with what we're talking about as credibility when it comes to they're real, but I haven't seen them. And that kind of goes for this entire topic, in my opinion. This goes for fringe topics in general.
That was a good
Like,
show.
yes, it was. Aliens were not in the show,
No,
but interdimensional beings were.
they were. It
Yes.
was a it was an interesting show. I don't even think I actually finished it,
I
to be
didn't
honest.
finish the last season.
I think it was me. It kind of got a little out there.
Yeah.
Um,
But so when I say fringe topics, I mean stuff like cryptids, ghosts, aliens, any sort of like hotly debated topic like that.
really hot topics.
Yeah. And the reason I say we need to take verbal accounts with a grain of salt is because we always have. Like,
Yeah,
this is the thing that's weird to me. Yes, okay, we'll talk about footage here in a second, but like, we have always known there are groups upon groups of people who claim to have seen actual humanoid beings.
yeah, yeah.
It's gone back for a long time.
Well, supposedly, and I don't know the accuracy of this. I don't know if it's actually a truth thing or not, but I have always seen these images that are supposed to be these hieroglyphs from Egypt, and they depict supposedly aliens, right? And
What
they have
the stereotypical aliens?
stereotypical alien because they look like they're holding babies, but they're have these elongated heads, and the body is like long and emaciated to be too long and emaciated to be like an alien. And people are like, see, it's proof of aliens. And I'm like, you know, their art
Could be
was
proof of
also
inbreeding.
could be. I mean, their artwork was not exactly. It
Yeah,
didn't depict
it
human
wasn't.
form
Yeah,
greatly.
it
No,
wasn't. It wasn't. Uh, Body part by body part exact
right?
representation. Not to mention, we know that there was some inbreeding going on with ancient Egyptian culture, especially
Yeah,
in like royalty, I guess you could say.
yeah,
I learned in Western Civ in college that there was a good chance that Nefertiti was like a result of inbreeding, and they
mm,
thought that maybe she had an elongated head because of this, which is
yeah.
why almost all of her depictions have her with a headdress.
That hat, yeah,
Yeah, and so I'm a natural skeptic when it comes to so many things, like when it comes to this kind of stuff. And my immediate reaction is give me irrefutable proof.
right,
I know that's hard to do, especially being a faith-based person, because what, and I think that's kind of like a huge testament to this. I approach my faith with this aspect of my, I guess, personality. Um, I battle with a lot of stuff when it comes to faith because of this. Like I need proof. Um, but I feel like when it comes to faith, the proof is there. And it's pretty undeniable to historical and extra biblical sources adding to that.
yeah.
Um,
Now, Buck says that he is a skeptic. We're is a natural skeptic. That's true for both of us. I don't accept. I would not naturally just accept um, stories of aliens or
mhm.
ghosts, or even though I believe in demons. When people are like, I saw a demon, I'm like,
Yeah,
let's hear this story out. Give me some
yeah,
proof. Tell me what. Let's talk about it.
yeah. I think I will say mass hysteria is a real thing. It
Yeah,
they have documented mass hysteria, especially whenever you have these topics that become pop culture topics, I think. And um s- so many people have claimed to see Bigfoot or
yeah,
ghosts or
yeah.
whatever. And
Loch
these have
Ness
been
monster.
Loch Ness Monster, yeah. And you'll have you'll have people who have seen it with other people at the same time.
Right.
Um, and I think a lot of times, whenever you have instances like that, sometimes your fear can cause you to see something you don't necessarily really see.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a lot of times,
I'll lean into something happened, but it may not just be what you expect
right.
think it is.
I'm not saying that people never have seen anything. We'll get to that. Like, which I think is what you're alluding
Sure.
to. Um, but I do want to say that, like, yeah, there, just because somebody claims to have seen something, a lot of times from a distance, like a pretty big distance, doesn't
Mhm.
mean they really did see something.
Yeah.
And
Which I
so,
guess is a little bit different. Our skepticism kind of came in, and we talked about similar themes when we talked about the rake, but the difference being that he was right there on him,
mhm,
and he supposedly saw these, which can also distort your views and stuff.
mhm,
However, that's when I'm like, something was there. I'm okay not necessarily having an answer for it. I don't know what happened. But when we want to talk about aliens and stuff, you know, that's in the sky, friend.
mhm,
What did you say?
yeah, yeah.
Because
Um,
when I was a kid, I used to lay down around Christmas time and watch Red Eye airplanes go by and tell my younger cousin that it was Rudolph, and he would
Yeah.
believe that. No,
And you have actually had a personal experience with actually seeing something in
yeah, I
the sky.
have. I have. Yeah, I have.
Tell us about it?
Um, yeah. So in the town that we grew up in, or I specifically grew up in, um, there was this big field where they would plant different things, and at this specific time, they had planted sunflowers, and they were, getting pretty tall. And I was actually headed to my back to my parents' house in another town. It's a long story, but we'd moved, and it's at a four-way stop.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was coming, so it wasn't something that I was just speeding past. Like I was
And we're at
coming
like
to
twilight, right?
right, right. So it's not completely. It's just at that getting dusk, but it had
Mm-hmm.
this colors haven't hit the sky yet. It's just the blue was getting darker, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And there were these three lights above the that field above the sunflowers. And I could see that they were actually pretty decently, I mean, they were closer than what normally is depicted, because as I was getting closer to the stop sign, they weren't moving, but my angle of them was shifting, if that makes sense. So it lets me know that, but there was nothing in between. It was just these three lights, and I couldn't see anything in between them, like a ship or anything like that.
You can see
Um,
sky in between them.
right. And but they're like from my angle, they were moving. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't actually moving. It was just my vision, just like it would if anything else in the
It
sky.
was
You know what I mean?
a perspective shift.
Perspective thing.
Yeah.
And I drove up to the thing and I kind of looked, kept watching it, and then I made my turn and then I went on. And that was really it. But I always thought that was a weird thing.
Yeah.
I also thought if I was one to quickly believe in aliens or UFOs, I might would believe that's what I saw.
Immediate. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe
right,
it. That's proof. But I
right,
think that's kind of a lot of what we're seeing here. Like people who are naturally skeptics like us, we're like, this could be anything.
right.
Like we don't know. We don't have enough data to say this is aliens. My immediate like criticism of this is like, okay, if it's aliens, if it's an alien craft, why why is the alien craft like showing big bright points of light on three sides of it?
Right.
But I know a lot of people say, oh, it's multiple alien crafts or whatever, and it's just kind of like their crafts are just
So
light.
why would it mask the ship but not the lights?
Right. And then I know there are supposedly like claims of seeing these orbs in the sky and they kind of move in formation, but not as if they're one thing. I got a theory about that. But so yeah, when it comes to seeing those kinds of things, which by the way, the vast majority of seeing UFOs is this
Yeah,
seeing an orb in the sky.
yeah,
Like there are some things where they see like metallic looking spheres or something like that. A lot of times those end up being some sort of like weather balloon, which is a real thing. I know they're like, oh, that's just uh, uh, a cover up or whatever. No, this
yeah.
really like that.
Really happens.
The thing that happened in 2023, that was what it was. It was a weather balloon. Um, and you remember
Well, what
that?
was it?
It was
I
from another
remember.
country. Like I think it was like a weather balloon
Oh,
that was,
yeah, I do
but
remember
it was
that. But I also remember.
potentially like a spy probe.
Yeah, I remember that. But I
Yeah.
also remember, I think it was around 2020 that supposedly the government was trying to say that aliens were like a real thing, but it hadn't been declassified. Do you remember this? And people were like, I wasn't expecting that on my bingo card for
Oh, that was
this.
last year. That
No,
was
this
last year.
wasn't. No, this
So there must
wasn't.
have been another one because
Yeah, there was
they had
something.
some like congressional hearings last year where these three people who worked for the government said, yeah, these are real things and blah 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 blah
This was
blah.
before that. This was before I moved. So. And I believe it was during like 2020 during all that pandemic when everything crazy. You had killer bees and all this other kind of stuff that was
Yeah.
happening. And
I will say it does seem like this topic does come up at very convenient times. Like
yeah.
at the risk of sounding like a theorist, it feels like it comes up at like times whenever something of significance is going on in the world.
To distract
Um,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know a lot of people say that, and it's just kind of like, but it does feel like there's some merit to it. Because last year they were saying, oh, they said aliens are real, and all the people were like, so what? We don't care. And they're saying that exact same thing again right now.
Mhm.
Um, and I can't remember what was going on last year when they said it. Um, but
It would have been harder for me to refute if I could actually see this ship and it landed and Globork from the planet of
not Globork.
Globork from the planet of Junkabah come out. If he came out and he said, you know, and that meant I'm Globork
Oh,
from Junkabah, that's how he talks. I would, then I would be like, oh,
that's racist.
I
I
probably would
feel
be
like
calling
that's
him like
somehow racist.
species. I would probably be calling him like, Buck, aliens is real. This is what happened.
I'll say I might not even then.
You wouldn't call me?
I would call you, but not that second part. Aliens is real part.
Oh no, I mean like
Uh,
if he and then he it would be harder for me to refute if I saw this
it'd be
thing
harder to refute. Yeah.
with my own eyes and he comes down and he
Um.
tells me this is who he is.
Yeah.
Especially if he takes me for a ride, you know, we go on a trip in his favorite rocket ship and and we end up on Globork. I don't or Junkabos, excuse me, Globork is his name.
um.
Then I would have a story to tell you.
Yeah.
But as it is, I see some lights, and that don't necessarily mean jack squat
Yeah. No,
diddly.
I totally agree. And I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff. Like I have seen something before too. I think I know what it was, but I can't prove it, and I don't. And it seemed further away when I saw this thing. So I lived in an apartment complex pretty early on. Whenever Doe and I got married, and we
Yeah,
had a puppy, and I had to take him out in all hours of the night when we first got him. And I remember I took him out to use the bathroom. This was probably like 12 in the morning. And I looked up and it just looked like this fire was moving across the sky. I think you might remember me telling you about this.
hmm
And it wasn't big. So like there wasn't like a big shadow. I could see the stars. So like and I could and the sky was bright enough for me to see like an outline of anything around it, if that makes sense. So I don't think it was a hot air balloon. Not to mention that'd be super unsafe to
yeah.
fly a hot air balloon that late at night. I don't think they do that often. Um and there were
Don't try to
no
end up in Oz.
right, there were no, there were no lights that were like required lights according to the FAA. Because you know, if you fly at night, you have to have beacon lights that can be seen for miles
Yeah,
for air traffic reasons. And so the thing that I think it could have been is if you've seen Tangled, is like one of those little
yeah.
floating fire
Those
lanterns,
lanterns. Yeah,
but it seemed too far away to be that. It wasn't going crazy fast, but it seemed really high up. And it would have had to have been really big to be that as high up
mm,
as it seemed and be that. So
yeah.
I don't know what it was. It seemed like a fire flying across the sky. That's what it seemed like. And
You saw the last Phoenix.
yeah. Um I do not think it was aliens. Um that would I don't know. I feel like aliens would have more advanced technology than what looks like fire. flying across the sky.
Yeah.
If they were real, if they had technology to fly here. Um, but
Aliens.
aliens. So yeah, we've both kind of seen something in the sky that we don't know about.
Right.
We like I have all fun fact, this is not exactly the same topic, but I have seen twice um co- meteorites come into the atmosphere and explode.
Mm.
Crazy. Crazy pretty also. Um
Crazy pretty.
crazy pretty. Another thing happened last year. It made like people say it was some accounts, but there was a thing. I think it was in Florida at a mall. Do you remember this? Like
Hmm.
people said that all like out of nowhere these like shadow creatures appeared in the
Oh
mall.
yeah, I do remember this. I forgot all
Yeah.
about that.
This was a thing that actually made news, but the shadow creatures part was never corroborated, though there are some people who said they were there and they did indeed see the shadow creatures. But the way they also described the shadow creatures almost made it seem like a hologram. Um,
Huh.
and a lot of the things that I saw, but also these were just people, random people on TikTok saying this. So, I
No
mean,
validity there.
people say a lot of stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
Um, I watched a guy, I watched several people say the devil can catch your prayers if you don't.
Oh my gosh.
Like a bunch of
I've seen
TikTokers
that.
say that.
I've seen
Um,
that too.
but
Like he can just catch your prayers and then God can't hear it.
yeah, that's why we pray in Jesus' name, Jack. Because if we don't,
By that time, all my words has done been
I
said.
know, and in Jesus' name, I start this prayer so the devil cannot catch it. Because apparently the devil can read minds. Um, but anyway, so a lot of stuff out there, a lot of like claims over a very long period of time. I do think it's funny that most of these claims don't tend to happen before the 50s in
Yeah.
America. They say, "Oh, there were some," but almost the vast majority of them
Mhm.
post 1950s.
I'm trying to think when a lot of that stuff was. When did Roswell happen? That
The
was in the
19
50s, wasn't it?
1950s, yeah.
And now I know like a lot of this is unrelated, but I think you'll understand. Like the Gremlin stories take place before that because that was early flight.
Mm-hmm.
That's when um or like the early planes and wars and stuff would have issues, and a lot of times these men would hallucinate or whatever. They'd
Because
see
of
these,
oxygen
yeah,
deprivation.
they would see these creatures tearing apart their planes or whatever. Um, and that's where we get the idea of gremlins. If you've ever
Well,
seen that one episode of Twilight
oh
Zone, I
my
don't think they
God.
look like that
The one that freaking Captain Kirk sees in that movie. I mean that in that, that
episode. Yeah,
episode. Oh, William Shatner.
William Shatner plays in
So
that. He plays
they did a remake of that in the 80s.
80s. Yeah.
And John Lithgow
Yep.
played the role.
Yep.
And they tried to make the gremlin like so much more grotesque looking.
Yep.
It's nowhere near as scary as the original show.
Yeah.
That
And
like
I still laugh at the original one. It looks like a bad mask on a
it
gorilla.
does, but it's freaking creepy, man.
But
The
but you
movements and
also
like
you have to know at that time period that was really really something that was
yeah,
creepy.
it's scary. Like I saw both of those not far apart from each other. I was like, the first one's scarier to me
Yeah.
because it doesn't seem like monster. It seems like there's something that just makes me uneasy about it. The movements of
Yeah.
it was just kind of like
Yeah.
can't see my face.
The eyes are kind of creepy on that thing.
Um and but yeah,
We'll put a
so
picture up here in case y'all have never seen it.
um
But it is, but I say that to say those kinds of things, those sightings and stuff, they happen before. But yeah, I think you're right. A lot of that stuff, I can't think of a time where before the 50s or where people were really seeing these alien ships, UFOs, or anything like that coming into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Which we grew up in the 90s. They were on shows and movies all the time. I mean, we grew up. So Star Trek was started big in the 60s,
80s, 60s, yeah.
60s, but
I
in the
always think of
80s,
Next Generation before I think of
as
any
was
other
the,
Star
well,
Trek.
the 80s and 90s is when it really took off. Like it was only
Three
three
seasons,
seasons in the 60s, but then there was a
the
bunch. There's like
movies.
seven or eight, and all the movies and stuff. All that happens. There was the cartoon that happened like in the 70s, but still, the
Oh
majority of that,
crap, I forgot about that.
the 90s had a lot of those shows and into the
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Next
We also,
Generation, Deep Space
yep,
Nine, Voyager.
yep. Star Wars, of course, was really big, mainly during the 80s. It started in the 70s, but Star Wars was a huge 80s thing. We had shows too, like what is it? The Alan Strange. Remember that?
And Space Cases.
And Space Cases. I loved Space Cases, which was Star Trek for kids, kind of.
Hmm.
And
And
you
fun
had
fact, I didn't know this because I didn't have cable. The Black Ranger from the Power Rangers left Power Rangers to go to Space Cases.
he was on there, and the
Yep.
girl who was later on uh Firefly.
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
she was the on that show too.
Hmm.
She had rainbow hair. But there was a cartoon, maybe you'll remember this on the WB that was all about these aliens that crashed. One of them was named Gorgeous or something like that.
I
Oh,
do
this
not
was during
remember
this
this.
was like during the Eat the Cat days, I think.
On the
Um,
WB
I
or
think it was the
Fox?
WB. Maybe it's Fox.
If it was Eat the Cat, that's Fox.
That is, but I mean, it was just during that time period. It might have been Fox. Um,
Um, I see the Men in Black, Space Goofs, Widget, and the World Watcher.
what was Space Goofs?
I have never heard of it. Hang on, let's look. Space Goofs. They look very
That's it. That's it.
strange.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Space Goofs. One of them, I think, is named like Gorgeous or something stupid. Okay, there was Candy, Bud, Ethno, Stereo, Gorgeous. Yeah, yep, that was it.
That's
It was the
funny.
anyway. So we had a lot of alien themed shows or shows that would have aliens come into it somehow. Again, even E.T. was a movie during the 80s.
Hmm.
So the 80s and 90s and then into the early 2000s was a huge time for that. And I think a lot of that feeds off of what you're talking about from the
Yeah,
50s and 60s and all of
yeah.
that. That
Pop
hysteria.
culture,
Yep.
pop culture leads to like this psychological trend.
Hmm.
And now I will say, Jack, I'm gonna say that I think you agree with me on this because we have talked about it. I believe something is happening. I
Sure.
think something's clearly there. Jack and I have both seen something in the sky.
Yeah.
There is so much footage. The UFO files that have been released, almost all of the footage shows white orbs, almost all of them. And I mean, I've seen footage of a white orb flying in between these energy producing windmills. I've seen white orbs flying with mountain backdrops. I've seen white orbs flying on ocean backdrops. I saw something that kind of looked like a white orb of light that almost looks like a jellyfish, but they think they described it as a reverse teardrop, and they think that it could have been a reflection from something under the water happening in the camera lens. Um, but so and there was one thing that it was an infrared video. This is the only one that really was like crazy different. It looked kind of like a gyroscope. um, which could also lend people to thinking about that wheel-like depiction of the Ophanim, or
That's
people
so.
say it's,
So is that the one that had the points? It had
yeah,
like,
it kind of looks like it's got points on the top and the sides,
well, it
but it
had
all,
8 points, but there were four that were bigger.
yeah, they called it a star at first,
Yeah,
but
and
it
because
kind of
like,
looks like a gyroscope because there's empty
yeah, it
space in
does.
between.
And
And
to me, that's the first thing I thought of. Was I was like, kind of fit. This kind of fits the depiction of the Ophanim,
yeah,
or the description of an Ophanim
and I'm gonna
from.
kind of use that as a segue into another part about this that predates the release of the UFO files. Um, I've been to Israel twice. I know that seems totally unrelated, but I've been to Israel twice. I've been to the Temple Mount twice, which is where the temple, like Solomon's temple and the and Zerubbabel's temple and the third temple that was built and destroyed. I've been there twice, and now the Dome of the Rock is there, which is an um, Islamic structure, and they
Mhm.
claim that the rock that Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac is in there. Um, can't go in there unless you're Muslim, but there over time have been multiple sightings of a glowing orb coming down from the sky, resting over the Temple Mount, and skyrocketing back into the sky. And I have
Mhm.
seen footage of this. And this predated AI, by the way, like
Yep.
people having
I've heard of
access to
this.
AI.
I've seen it.
And I think it's legitimate because there's footage of it happening from multiple points in the city of Jerusalem
Yeah.
that could not be related. Different camera qualities, um, different distances, all kind of stuff like that. And what it shows is a big glowing orb coming and resting a few hundred feet over the Temple Mount, and then skyrocketing back in the sky at an ungodly speed. Um, it wasn't big. It wouldn't have been big enough to be a craft. It probably was the size of a person, maybe.
Mm.
Um, but it was a sphere. So I think there's definitely something there. But here's the thing: glowing spheres of light are not exclusive to aerial phenomenon. Um, People see glowing spheres of light in their houses. They see them um in nature. I know a guy who has seen a glowing sphere of light in his childhood home. Um, I don't think we have a name for him on this podcast, but it um
I
he
figured.
he believed it was the ghost of his dead brother.
Yeah. I remember you telling me
Um,
that.
but the I don't believe that. But he said he woke up one night, went to the bathroom, and he his room he turned to go into his room, and as he turned, he saw this light um float past him and go into what was his brother's room. Which is not where his brother died, by the way. His brother died in the living room. But so it's it's not only limited to what we would associate aliens with.
Right.
So I think that's
Well, it
something
just
to
tends to be when it's in the sky, people
see it.
automatically assume.
Yeah,
But they automatically assume that it has to be some kind of extraterrestrial.
right. Um, so this could all be linked to the same sightings of like quote unquote ghosts. Um, and so yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There has long within the Christian community, there has long been an assumption of whenever somebody sees we can't prove this, but whenever somebody sees an orb of light, it is an angelic, like an angelic
Right.
manifestation.
Right.
Which
And
I
that's but go
go
ahead.
ahead. Well,
No,
which
you go ahead.
I tend to lean into.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's because they always appear in light.
Right.
In scripture, they usually take on the form of a human.
Person, yeah.
But usually their eyes are glowing, their clothes are kind of glowing. There's this glowing, this light about them.
And also, this is a totally different topic too, but I want to clarify very quickly our stance. Jack and I have a tendency to lean into the idea that not all of what people consider to be angels are actually angels.
Right.
We lean into the idea that there are multiple types of heavenly hosts because it talks about heavenly hosts and it also talks about a divine council in heaven. We believe that more than likely angels, which are the ones that are depicted as human-like entities, those are angels, and then you have the
Yep.
seraphim, which have animal-like aspect. Cherubim, which have animal-like
Yep.
aspects to them. Then you have the ophanim, which are like the wheel-looking things that people say are, oh, this is why people were scared of angels, and they have eyes all over them or whatever.
Which
And
is
then you,
actually goes that yeah, they end up doing two different things together because they're both mentioned in the same scripture, and it
yeah,
gets really confusing.
and then remind me what the seraphim look like.
The so let me double check my
I don't want to spend a
references.
whole lot of time on this, but I feel like it's just a little relevant.
Seraphim description in the Bible is in Isaiah, and they have six wings, and they
Yeah,
use
that's what I was thinking.
two to cover their faces, two to cover their feet, and then two for flying.
So they're humanoid, but they have wings all over them.
Right.
And
And
so
and
and
four of the six wings are used specifically for covering
their
their
body
body.
parts.
Yeah.
And then again, cherubim kind of they have animal like features, like
They
the
have four heads each.
yeah, and they have that like a lot of the
On
depictions of the Ark of the Covenant, they kind of almost look like they have bird bodies. Um,
Scripture says I think they have cloven feet,
do they have cloven feet?
but they have
They don't have
um
arms. They only have wings, correct?
it doesn't say that I don't think, but they have usually four heads. They have a like an oxen head, an eagle head, I think a lion head, and a human head.
Mm-hmm.
Except for in one place where you read it, it sounds like there's four different ones, and each one has a different animal head.
There's also a place that says they have scales, right? Am I wrong about that?
I don't remember there being scales. Not like animal scales anyway. Um,
Okay.
scales of
Okay.
justice,
Okay, that must be what it is. But
holding scales.
that might be what it is. But Lucifer, even though that's not his name, uh, is a cherubim.
Correct.
It never describes him as an angel. So, anyways, all that to kind of clarify our stance on this because this is heavily tied to our view on aliens in general. Because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think a lot of times whenever aliens are quote unquote seen or experienced, I think it could be a demonic encounter.
I think it could be either. I say that meaning when there's a light shown seen through people see a light shooting up into back into the sky. I think it could very easily have just been an angelic being that's returning or something
Yeah.
of the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't jump straight to it being something nefarious. But I
That's why I say a lot of times.
Yeah, but I do think that whenever there's been a connection with humans, that confuses people into believing that there is these other creatures out in the ether, out in the universe or whatever, I do believe that tends to be more of a demonic presence because for the same reason that I don't really believe in ghosts, but I believe that a lot of times they take on this form either to scare you or to confuse you.
Yes, that's kind of my stance too. And there are stories of people having gone through quote unquote alien abductions. And there are
Yeah.
multiples of these stories. And
Yeah.
then during the experience or the encounter, they call on the name of Jesus and the encounter stops.
Yeah.
And this is not some sort of like urban legend or whatever. This is a thing that people have documented happening. And like now again, this is like somebody's like they saw it, so take it with a grain of salt, but it is something to really consider. Um if somebody calls on the name of Christ during an experience and that stops, that's that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
And it links
absolutely.
this to a spiritual issue rather than a scientific issue.
Mhm.
And I mean, not to say that science can't play a part in all that, but and that kind of leans into, I think, yes, I think a lot of times seeing these orbs, I think that could be angelic, though it does say the enemy can masquerade as an angel of light. Um,
Correct.
and but I think also like it could be a demonic deception. I don't think it's, oh, aliens are what people think demons are, because a lot of people would kind of be like, oh, they would see aliens and automatically think demons, demons, demons. No, I don't think that. I think that it would be a great deception, because
Yeah.
for a lot of people, if aliens exist, then the truth of Christ could not exist. And I think the same thing of ghosts. I don't think the same thing of Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot, if he's real, that means there's just an animal.
Something there that
But
we don't know what it is, but I
uh
mean, I guess it could be demonic if for the same purposes, but I don't necessarily lean into that. But
my
I,
dad makes the joke that Bigfoot and aliens are one and the same. That's why you can't ever find them. Whenever you try to get to them, they're up in the ships.
oh, that's what the aliens actually are,
Yeah,
and
or at least that's
they
what
have
Bigfoot
pet Loch
actually
Ness
are.
monsters
Yeah.
and uh Mothman, but
Now, this is a joke my dad makes, but there is a subset of alien believers that do actually think that.
I'm
They
not
think that
surprised.
Bigfoot are aliens.
I'm not surprised.
Um,
Most of the images that we were shown as these proof were just that. They look like orbs, they look like balls of light, or they look like nothing. That is the only one, the one that we've talked about is the only one that I feel like has actually there was another one that it doesn't have a shape to it. It's just like a light with no shape. I
mhm.
think it's one of the newer ones that was released. And I'm just like, to me, it looks like when there's been a storm and then the cloud parts in one little small spot and there's no shape because the clouds don't really have a shape, but the light pours through
Mhm.
that storm. That's what that looks like to me. Like there's nothing.
Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are some footage. There's some footage of what looks like uh something metallic flying through the air and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. The thing that's strange to me is almost always these metallic things are extremely small, like extremely small. Um, like these would be like, we're talking like smaller than fighter pilot craft,
Yeah.
and like way smaller. And like I know there is a footage, like some footage that circled around from somebody's like flight, and it was a passenger filming out the window, and it looks like this. It almost looks like a football shaped like object that's gray, speeds by really quick, and it's so small. It's so small. And to stuff like that, there's also just also to kind of clarify too. I know at one point, I don't remember when this was, but there was an object that came into orbit in Earth's gravitational pull, and they filmed it or they photographed it from the International Space Station, and they call it the Black Knight satellite. It just looks like a rock, but people believe that it was
What?
some sort of alien craft because it stayed in orbit for it was either a few hours or a few days, and then it left orbit.
Hmm.
This was a real thing, and it has no uniformity to it whatsoever. And I know people are like, well, just because it doesn't have uniformity doesn't mean that it's not a craft or it wasn't created or whatever. It looks like a rock. It freaking looks like a rock. But and
Well,
I will say this: we don't know what kind of material exists in like all the different kinds of material that exists in the universe. God could have created things that defy physics as we know it. God could have made these things happen. For
I
all we
want to
know, there
make a
could.
Project Hail Mary joke, but I can't because you
You
haven't
better not. You
you
better
have
not.
yet to read the book or see
Um,
the movie.
I refuse to watch the movie before I read the book. Once I finish Wheel of Time, I'm going to do that so I don't have to wait so long. But it's still going to be a while because I still have 5 books left to read.
Oh
Um,
my gosh. Take a break and read it in between.
I can't do that. I won't come back to it. But I think like there are things we cannot explain in the universe. And I think it is absolutely ridiculous to assume that the only explanation for those things we can't explain is extraterrestrial life.
Yeah. I
Like,
my other theory, um, which could people could be like, well, conspiracy theorist,
I think I know
is
what you're about to
that
say.
I think the government has more technology that we know that they have more technology than what we
Or
um,
governments.
governments have more technology than what we know and are able to either test fly or whatever they're doing, and so things get seen. And it's not may not necessarily be some of the ones that we're looking at that are flying at those top speeds. I don't know, but maybe things like what I saw, where there's three lights but you can't really see because there's a cloaking mechanism or whatever that is, and they're trying that out. I don't know.
It could be
Um,
some crazy new drone technology.
sure. Well, that was really before drones were,
Right.
uh,
Yeah, that was way before drones were a
but not for, maybe not for
consumer
them, but
product.
not for
Yeah.
them. But yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, at that time, sure. I mean, I believe that there are possibilities that because the government is making things and are always steps ahead of what we know they're at, and they have to try these things out. That is also a possibility. That there
mhm.
is a real life possibility of what things could be. It doesn't necessarily have to jump straight to, well, aliens are out there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I don't think it's necessarily conspiratorial to be like the government definitely has technology that we don't know about. I think I think it is safest to assume that is probably the case,
Yeah.
because the government has access to the best minds in the world. The best. Okay, let me rephrase that. The best minds in the country, at least, at minimum, and at best, the best minds in the world, and that goes for multiple governments in the world. And who knows? I mean, the Japanese are so freaking smart; they could be doing all kind of experiments. And
Talking about this made me. I think I remember that the alien thing that I'm talking about back in 2020 is what ended up leading to people wanting to rush Area 51. You remember that?
I do remember this. I vaguely remember
Yeah.
this.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I just I feel like if we're going to use the eyewitness accounts of aliens being real, we have to also do the very same thing um, for all of the other things, all of them. Um, and I know the scientific community who believes in aliens, a lot of them will laugh at the concept of spirits of the dead being lingering around. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's
Yep.
really funny because because people see something. We don't know what they see, but people see something and people
Yep.
believe it
Yep.
like very, very passionately. And I think when it boils down to it, more than likely the theory that we have as believers, it seems like the more realistic thing. And the only reason people be like, no, it's not, is because they are unwilling to accept the idea that a spiritual answer when it comes to the Christian faith is good enough because they don't want it to be good enough.
Yeah.
And I know
But
this
again,
isn't
that goes back to
necessarily,
shaking their foundation or what.
yes, this wasn't supposed to be a Christian topic, but it just inevitably bleeds into it. And so, yeah, what you think?
Well, I mean, I think we've pretty much said everything. We've covered the government. We've covered angels. We've covered demons. We've covered all the possibilities.
We've covered potentially unknown things in the
Yep.
universe that don't necessarily mean it's intelligent. Um,
Yep.
Heck, I'll say this too. A thought that I had at one point was like, what if there are some sort of like interplanetary animals that we just
Sure.
don't know about, and
And here's the
somehow,
thing too. Buck and I are neither one saying they don't exist. We're saying we don't necessarily believe that they exist. We don't tend to believe that. But at the end of the day, if we were proven wrong, our worldview is not going to be shaken. We would just be
correct.
like, oh, okay. And that would be it. But
Um,
there's
Now
been
would
nothing
it
to
challenge
prove
some
to us.
things? Would it challenge some
Sure,
things? Sure.
possibly,
Um,
but maybe not even. I mean, but at the end of but it's one of those things. It's just like we know what we believe, but there's been no proof. There's been nothing that can disprove what we believe, or
mhm.
to lead us or prove to us that the other is true. All you've shown me is some videos of UFO, which in the title of it is unidentified.
Mhm.
There's something flying around and it's unidentified. That's all we
Oh,
know.
I realize there is one other thing we didn't talk about. And we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but this did make it on Fox News, and the
Is this the guy with the mask?
no, this was like I
Oh,
can't. It's the brown hair guy with the spiky hair.
oh,
It was the like he's one of the news hosts or whatever, and he was saying that in the files there are claims that there are four types of aliens.
mm.
It's just claims. It's not that they have irrefutable proof. It's not that the government has seen these aliens or talked to these aliens or
Is one
anything
the
like that.
reptilians?
One is the reptilians. One is the insectoids, and
Oh
apparently they
boy.
look like giant praying mantises, which is really terrifying to think about.
Well, that's from Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Yeah, yep. And
Zach
also
Brandon and all
Ender's
that.
Game. Um, but and then the other one is the Greys, which
The little
is
gray people.
the stereotypical aliens that we think about, and then the other one are the Nordics, which just look like large people,
Like
like us. They look
Nordic
like us.
people?
They
Is
look
that
like
where
Nordic people.
the Nordic people supposed to come
That's what
from?
they say. And there was a congresswoman that said, like, there's an interview of her saying, "I've seen stuff that makes me believe that there is no way there's not aliens." Um, but I think the thing that she said she saw was, "I've seen material that could not have been crafted by human people," which
Okay.
also you don't know that. You
Right.
100% don't know that. We don't
At
know that
all.
we don't know that we know of all the people that exist on the planet, by the way.
Yep.
Like
The
there
types
could
of
be
people. Sure.
who knows? There could be people that live underground. There could be people that have figured out how to build a sustainable society in the ocean. We don't know. Which, by the way, there are some people who believe that aliens don't come from space; they come from the ocean.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Um, and
It's all
so
water anyway. It's just the expanse.
yeah. Uh, but so yeah, that's
But yeah, which is funny. The reason I was talking about, so there was this guy on Fox News and he was talking, and I don't know what it is. I will say it does look like this person is wearing a mask. The way
oh, the
his,
bald guy.
yeah,
I think it's a shadow.
it doesn't look like a shadow to me, but I'm not going to say that it is a mask. I'm saying I can see why people would draw that. It doesn't look like a shadow because it doesn't move like a shadow, and the part under it is too lit. It just something's weird going on there. Um, but I'm also not saying that it's a mask. But he does not look like the same person that he was in the pictures that they show of him before. I'm not saying he's not.
Sure.
He had face work done, probably.
What was he talking about?
I don't know. Probably
I
aliens.
do think the government I do think the government has really advanced disguising capability
They
because they
do.
talk about it.
I
And
don't say they talk. I know that they do because they've said that.
yeah, I
And
think they're able to create masks that look extremely real.
mhm.
Um, I when I look at that footage, I think it's just a trick of the light from multiple light sources.
But how stupid would you have to be unless they're trying for us to see something to put that on the news and not cover that up? You know what I mean?
I think we're assuming that I think the
If
assumption
it
is
were,
that they
I'm
would
saying if it
they
were.
it's impossible for them to not catch that, and I think it absolutely is possible. Also it doesn't the skin doesn't move like a mask. It's like the shadow moves. And I think it's a mixture of there's probably a light over his head and it's casting a shadow from his chin directly where his collar's at versus some other lights that are in different places. It's clear there are multiple lights on this guy. Um, and I think it's just the way that his collar kind of mixes with that and also other parts of his face. But I've seen lights make weird shadows because I mean, I lighting has a lot to do with my career. Um,
Yeah.
so like that's my personal take. However, that's different from the take of seeing President Biden scratch the back of his neck
And it pulls
and
the
it looks like a very thin membrane. It doesn't look like skin. Skin does not move that way. Skin does not get moved and stay in place like that. Like I think there was definitely instances of somebody being a body double with a mask for President Biden.
I will
Um,
say that the bald guy on Fox News, his reminds me of I know that I don't Beetlejuice, the movie Beetlejuice. Their caseworker's name is Juno, and like
mhm,
she has her throat cut, and so
mhm.
there's like the shadow. That's what it looks like to me.
I
Like,
see what you're saying.
and like she
Um,
can blow smoke out of it or whatever.
yeah.
That's what it
Now
looks.
the guy in other photos, he does have like loose skin on his neck.
Yeah, he does.
Um, and I think that could play into it also. Um, but but yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
and
I
I
would
agree.
say
Also, speaking of like the whole Biden stuff, the fact that his ears don't match didn't make any
yes,
sense.
that's yeah.
But
Um,
that's a whole other rabbit
that is
hole
a
for
whole
another
nother rabbit
time.
hole. And I think
Uh,
we have successfully like finished
I thought
this
we've
rabbit
reached the
hole.
end of this
We
one.
were
We have.
trying to go a little shorter than we usually do.
Yep.
We our goal is always to try to be at about an hour, but we never get close to that.
Yeah.
So we
We're
try to,
we're we say an hour, between an hour and a half, but sometimes we go over that.
and let's face it, the majority of the time it's my fault. Um, because I'll chase tangent
It's a
rabbit holes.
discussion that I'll get quiet and just let you go on them for a
Yep.
minute. It's a discussion that we've had where I'm more of the concise talker.
Yep. And I like the scenic view of conversations. And so, but yeah, I wanted to try to be on point with it this time. But
But
all right.
I think we've covered everything. So
Yeah. So final
um,
thoughts, aliens aren't real.
I don't believe that. I don't believe aliens are real. I do believe demons are real. I believe the government is real, and I believe that so that when you shut the door behind you when you leave, nothing's going to abduct you.
My final thoughts for sure are there's not sufficient evidence to prove that intelligent extraterrestrial life is real from the data in the files that we know about.
Right.
And
Right.
so and if something does come up that leans into it, there are spiritual answers to those questions.
Yep.
And so yeah. All right. Well, well, since you're so inhospitable, I will leave. Because you never, I mean, it's late. I mean,
It is late.
you could prepare a bed inside for me. I could sleep
Oh.
on the couch. I could push chairs
Oh.
together.
Hmm. You
But
probably could, or or those waiting for you at home.
yeah, I could do that too.
But I love you.
I love you too.
Good
I do
night,
love my
y'all.
wife also.
I'm glad.
Yep.
I love mine too.
As Glorblock would say,
Down and down the rabbit hole.